Yeah, I feel like that's such the picture, you know, the attitude for you guys as a couple, but for your whole team to come together and just decide that we're going to go and do whatever we can for people who are in some of the worst situations in the world at this moment. Um, I feel like that's such a good picture of just the word like responsibility, especially the idea that we've talked about. Um, that responsibility is like we need to take responsibility for ourselves, but there's also a lot of problems that we haven't caused that
Mm-hmm.
bother us or that we can do something about,
Mm-hmm.
and that we can actually take on responsibility for those things as well. That's such a good picture of that. Was there anything? Was there anything else that you were wanting? Like we don't have that much time left. Um, was there anything else that you were wanting to talk about in regards to that journey, or just kind of like how your attitudes towards responsibility has shifted, especially kind of as your family has developed and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, definitely. I think that you were getting at something really important earlier when you were talking about, entering your 20s with these lofty goals and these great expectations, um, and kind of honing that back in a way of, having the goal being a good man, a good husband, a good
mm-hmm.
father. Um, I would say a lot of things have happened in me to make that change. Uh, Not even necessarily very consciously. Like haven't really taken the time to write that down or articulate that very clearly, but that's definitely, I think, what's gone on with me too. In talking about all these things, traveling to these different countries, having these different experiences, I was still really young doing all these things. Like when I led a
Mm-hmm.
team to Nepal, I was 20 years old.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
I
At the
mean, I
time
did
it
it.
seems so old, but now that we're older and we look back, like 20-year-olds are kids. Yeah, that's crazy.
I know, and we're still only like 26. It's like,
Yeah.
um, you know, it is funny. Time is a weird thing. Um, but yeah, so I mean, lots of mistakes were made along the way. Lots of areas in my life. We're going overseas and we're trying to find these opportunities to serve, and um, we have these things we want to accomplish, dreams that we want to see fulfilled, and those are usually even like selfless, really good things, ways that, gung ho, want to change the world or going for it. But at the same time, as a 20-year-old, I have all these areas in my life where I still haven't even taken inward responsibility of a lot of things. And
Mm-hmm.
so even just like my own discipline of, like managing my time really well, or putting my energy towards, I mean, if you want to give your life to international service, like there's probably a lot of books that you could read that would make you much more
Not
knowledgeable
totally useless.
about how to do that well, and so I wasn't very faithful, I would say, with my own personal development in my, 21, like 20 to
Mm-hmm.
22 ish years. And I think I got a little bit better at that when after we got married for some reason. Maybe it was living in my hometown. Maybe I can attribute that to my dad a little bit, and, being around my parents and realizing, I think, just that I still had really far to go to become
Yeah.
an actual like fully mature adults, and whatever that means. I guess there's a huge spectrum of maturity in adults, but
Yeah.
becoming the kind of person that is even more qualified to make a positive change in the world.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would say that's one area where I kind of um, learned humility in that, and learned to rein back,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
not the reality of having those dreams and those visions for the future of, what kind of change we want to see in the world, and how strongly we want to pursue that and everything, but just kind of adding to that, I guess. I guess what I'd say is I've kind of done the opposite process of what I would encourage most people to do, where I started with the really lofty goals and then kind of realized like I didn't have the foundation for that.
Yeah,
And still,
exactly.
I have no regrets whatsoever. So I guess that maybe that is a really legitimate way to do it. But my encouragement to people would be, if you can, if you're humble enough, if you're teachable enough, then see this opportunity in front of you. If you're 20 years old, or if you're just heading into a new phase in your life, even if you're older, maybe you're 35, but you're just now coming into this realization of, okay, I want to actually start to take responsibility in my life in a way that I never have before. It's okay to think about the big and lofty things, but start from square one, start from the
Mhm.
basics and take your first baby step in that direction of, rather than like me trying to lead a team of young people to Nepal and be useful and actually helpful, rather than, just
Yeah.
like this needy team
Hurting
of.
people as you try to help them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Which, not to say that that's all that happened, I think I can see areas where that happened from me personally and from other people that
Mhm.
I led on teams overseas, but overall, I think it's still a net positive. I think there's definitely
Totally.
still way more good that was done than any bad. But, still see those areas of opportunity where I'm like, man, if I could have kind of started we should make a diagram of this so we can actually talk about it and like have an image of it on a website or something so people can picture what we're talking about. But this kind of, I don't know, I would almost like this bullseye of responsibility where you're in the middle, and then the next ring out is like my immediate family, then maybe my extended family or my coworkers, or whichever one you spend more time with. And then from out from there you can start to go wherever you want to with it until you get to these big regional issues like the hurricane in the Philippines or the refugee crisis in Berlin, something like that. Have those inner
Mhm.
circles way more put together than I did before you
Yeah.
try to affect the outer ones. And so I'd say, yeah, that's been a big kind of backtracking of, okay, it's awesome that we went for it. It's awesome that I, tried to make a difference and legitimately did make a difference in those outer circles, but also it's really important for the future that I get even more solidified in those inner circles of the bullseye.